This happened in the late 90s. I had been married 15 years, and sex had gone from wild and daring to nearly non-existent. As wife made excuses and I quit trying in retaliation. We had 2 boys aged 8 and 6. I had my own business and worked from home. At that time, Hotmail was a place to get free anonymous email account, but also you could post personal ads. Thought I was being a player? Posted ads saying MWM seeks MWF, married white male female for romance. Received exactly 2 responses. One from Canadian woman who visits Area 5, 6 times a year. One from woman living 80 miles away. She is the one I replied to. We corresponded for a few weeks by email and cell phone. We were both on the same wavelength. Same ages, same interests, same humor, even lived in same states at times, sometimes within miles of each other. Of course we exchanged face pics, neither believing what we saw. She was beautiful, and she thought I was handsome. So we decided to meet for lunch at a deli close to a client of mine, about midway between our homes. I had been so exited to finally meet that I took second shower of day and fresh clean clothes. She was waiting in her car when I arrived, probably for quick getaway, but we both were relieved that our picture exchanges weren't lies. We went into the deli, got in line, and chatted like old friends. We finally ordered, and when I went to pay, horrors! My wallet was in my other pants. I was so embarrassed, but she laughed it off, paid for food, and said next time was my treat. Of course I promised, thrilled to know she was looking forward to a next time. We sat at tiny table and just talked for 112 to 2 HRS. I walked her to her car, she came in for hug, I came in for smooch, and my lips ended up on her neck below her left ear. We talked on phone as we each went home, then probably exchanged 100 emails the rest of the day, and she told me how much she enjoyed my lips on her neck. A week later, we met again, same general area. Only I arrived early, saw her in parking lot, went to approach her, but she practically ran to front of restaurant where her husband, I found out later, was waiting, and they went in. I didn't understand, was on way home. Stopped at McD's when she called, explained, and we met at this shut-down construction site where we hugged, kissed passionately, and got our juices flowing. And as we were getting ready to go our separate ways, she laughingly said we might end up in room 200 at some sleazy motel. The next week, as I was getting ready to see her again, she called and asked if I knew a certain large hotel in another city, still about midpoint between us. I said I did, and she said to call her from parking lot, which I did, and she said come up to room 208, nearly the same number she joked about. She was very fashionably dressed and looked absolutely beautiful. I had stopped for a bottle of wine and small box of chocolates, which we enjoyed while lying on bed, talking, kissing, touching, undressing, and she asked if I had brought any condoms, which I hadn't. She said, oh well, as much kissing as we had done, it was probably too late anyway. And being a man caught in the throes of passion, I readily agreed, and we picked up where we left off. I went downtown, and she had a couple nice orgasms before I got on top of her and entered her for a nice long period of passionate lovemaking. I was concerned I might come early, hence my lengthy oral interlude to make sure she at least got something out of the deal. But I need not have worried. I was Superman that day, and she had a couple more orgasms before mine arrived. As we lay side by side, exhausted, sipping wine, being quiet and introspective, I asked if she felt guilty, and she replied not at all. And she asked if I did, and surprisingly, I also replied not at all. I thought for sure I would experience at least some guilt, but I didn't. I felt happy and alive. And we kissed. And we did it all over again, with the energy of horny teens, and not like the late 40-year-olds we were. That was only the beginning of the 10-year affair we had while we were both married to others. I will continue this story later, and spoiler alert, not a happy ending. The next story you will hear will be about my high school sweetheart and the time we spent together, from our first date to the ups and downs of the relationship. Find out how our connection was tested and what important lessons I learned along the way. Well, I'm just going to start this out by saying, sorry, this will be really long. I met my high school sweetheart my sophomore year in high school. He was the senior football star for another school a little down the road. All the girls loved him, of course. He was the hottest one on the team. Who wouldn't fall for him? He and I first met at the movie theater while I was with a friend. We met at the snack bar and instantly clicked. We exchanged our numbers and immediately started talking. As my sophomore year continued, we continued to talk. We met for a movie for our first date, and I was falling in love slowly but surely. That night we talked and told each other about life and love. About the next week, he picked me up from my house, and I went to his first church softball game of the season, where I met his family and they all loved me. On our way back that night, I snuggled close to him as we pulled up to my house and he asked for me to be his girlfriend. I immediately said yes, and we had our first kiss. It literally made me have butterflies, no joke. Him and I would spend every second possible together. My sophomore year ended and there came summer. He was a senior, so his high school career ended. I went to his graduation, cheered, screamed his name, and gave Hume a huge kiss for all of his accomplishments. I spent every single day with him after that. We would go out constantly. We spent the 4th of July together, my birthday, his birthday, Christmas, New Year's, and so on. Not a moment went by when I wasn't with him. In the middle of winter, last year, he went up to his home state to visit his family. I trusted him. There was no worries on my part. I got on social media one night and realized he had been talking to other girls and asking to meet up with him and hook up. I was hurt. I tried to end it there, but I couldn't. I loved him. He came back, we made up, and more hell came. He was a forever cheater. After he came back, he was different. I got my first job, and I has my junior year coming to an end, and I was very stressed. I worked nonstop, make really bad grades, and I would never have time to spend with him. He would hang out with girls with his buddies and act like he didn't when I know he did. He would get drunk on tell me the next day that nothing happened. But how do I know that? If he could take me for granted once, he could cheat on me twice. I would get anonymous tips that he was cheating. They were all right. One night I get a text from him that said he was hanging out with this girl that he used to go to church with, and that we was going to tell me so I shouldn't get mad. I didn't think anything of it until the next week. The next week at work I was told that my boyfriend was talking to another girl. I didn't think it was so I told her to get me more proof. She got more proof and I got the text from her and I broke down. I didn't talk to him about it at first until he broke up our 2-year relationship over a shitty little text. He told me he didn't feel the same and that he was hurting and that he would be better off alone. Didn't even call, didn't even say sorry, and he loved me. He ran to his new girl about a week later. There were many times that I was hurt, many times that I was upset with him, but he would always cease to sweep me back off my feet. We dated a total of 2 years. I really loved him. I've completely removed him from my life. That was the most I could do. I'm in tears typing this because my heart is still shattered. When I found out after he broke up with me, I literally didn't even shed a tear. I just started at the headboard of my bed. No emotions spilled out or anything. Eventually, months later, I asked if I could return his things, like his senior banner, senior jackets, senior moments that I had kept over the 2 years, and he ditched me a few times. He drove up to my house one night and I just opened the door to his truck and threw his stuff in, and I said goodbye. I was bawling my eyes out and he didn't even say anything. He had nothing to say, no emotions, 2 years of waste. I never spoke to him again. He moved to another state. Him and his girlfriend are still together, going strong, I guess. Sometimes I wish that we could start again because my love, if you ever read this, I loved you to the fullest extent I could ever love anyone. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you like it. Also put a bell so you don't miss new videos. See you soon.